Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and I'm wondering, when I say the word summer, what color comes to your mind? Or what patterns come to your mind? I have something that might just fit what you are thinking. As for me, I think of yellows, fun colors that take the winter into the summer fun. And I think of strawberries and watermelons and suns and lemons and, of course, time on the beach, swimming and bathing suits. This is a nice big panel from Riley Blake. Now we could just sew a border on this panel and it would be beautiful the way it is. Or we could cut it up and get two projects from this one panel. We can get a table runner and a table topper. Because we are cutting up that panel, this is going to go together really quick. This is a free pattern from Riley Blake, and the first thing that they do is instruct us to cut up the panel. And they do have some different sizes. And what I like to do is I like to draw the sizes out on my panel first before I cut it. From the back, I am going to be able to make temporary markings. All of my pieces are going to be the same height, 11.5 inches. It's the width that is going to change. The S is 10.5 inches. The U is 12.5. So I find a tape measure is really my best friend for this. I'm going to take that 10.5 inches and just see how I think I'm going to like it. And I can just slide that down to make sure that I'm not going to get into something else. From there, I'll just put a little mark and then check the pattern beside. The pattern beside is 12.5 inches. Take that tape measure at 12.5 inches and start there. I have that original mark. I'm going to put it at 12.5 inches. Now, how is this looking onto the other side? This, I'm going to want to have it come over a little bit. And I'll put my two new marks. So when I'm looking here, I know that I have enough room. I actually have a little extra room. If I didn't have enough room, then I would be able to remeasure in between each piece to see what I want. I find just holding that tape measure, it gives me a better visual on what I want. The next piece beside that is going to be a 10.5 inch square. So my center is going to be 5 1/4. I can start, just put it there approximately, and then slide it. And yes, I am going to have enough space. What I'm really making sure is that I have enough space in between each of these patterns. If not, then I can shift things over. Once I have those three identified, then I really can put a ruler down and start marking it. Once it has that full marking, and I do just use a marker that's going to fade out or iron out, I can mark the rest of them and then cut them. Our letters are all cut out and our 3 squares. Those 3 squares are going to do that table topper, but let's work on that runner first. We're going to sew those letters together, and then we're going to add on one border all the way around, just on the top and the bottom. And this should now equal 12.5 inches by 66.5 inches. And that's going to match a really cute border. For the border, we are going to need 26 of these 3.5 by 6.5 inch pieces and our small little D pieces. The D pieces are going to go on those corners, and we're going to stitch from corner to corner. When we do that, we're going to be able to fold those back, and we have the same size rectangle. We've just added some corners on. Now, I would recommend to press these so that one corner comes down and the other corner goes up, and we're going to be able to trim them. The reason to have these going in opposite directions is when we go to sew those borders together, those seams are going to nestle together, which is going to help us get that nice little point. So for the two long sides, we're going to need 11 of these sewn together. And when those two rows are sewn together, we're going to have a nice little set of 2, and we're going to have 4 3.5-inch squares that are going to fit on either end. And that is going to give us this cute little scalloped edge. We have one more border to put on. When those borders are on, it's going to be a nice big 21.5-inch by 72.5 inches. When this is all done, we're going to be able to work on that table topper, and it's going to go together really quickly because we already start with squares that look like we've already done the work. We do have our 3 panels, our border, and some squares. The 4 larger squares, we're going to put them together and make half square triangles. So we're going to place right sides together, draw a line from point to point, and we're going to stitch on each side of that line, trim it apart, and we're going to end up with this nice big half square triangle. Our half square triangles do end up being 10.5 inches, the same as those blocks, and we're just going to put that darker into the center. We have 2 more 10.5-inch squares that will just fill in the spot. So we're going to be able to sew these together in rows and then sew the rows together. From there, all we have is one more border. With that 2-inch border on, we are done. 2 quilted projects from one panel. I love it when the panels do all the work. I didn't do any applique, and there was very little piecing, and I was able to get it done. Now I need to decide, which one do I quilt first? I'll put some links in the description, and as always, thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I do have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. And be sure to make every day a Sewtacular day. Bye for now.